Hi, Geeks and Gamers. Matt Lemke here with Uwe Eickert from Academy Games, and we're at Origins Game Fair, and we're going to chat a little bit about not so much his games, but where his games are going, which is really cool. Last couple of years, you've had 4 successful Kickstarters?
3. Only 3. Yeah, started last year. Last summer was our first one, last fall, and then the spring.
And those games are doing pretty well. And the exciting news that I want to talk about is your games in education. You've got a little book that's coming out this fall?
Yes, we have 2 books, books that help a teacher use the game in classroom setting, and then helps them also explore added questions and added themes and topics to explore with the students, not only in the game, but then also further in the education process.
And so, if you're not familiar with Academy Games and the products we're talking about games that do things like talk about the historic. Wow. They talk about history, and they cover the Underground Railroad. Let's see, FIF is...
Yeah, we're doing, well, the ones that are going to schools is Freedom of the Underground Railroad, which is about the abolitionist movement between 1800 and 1865. And it really shows the desperation of really the not only the slaves and the freed black people of America, and the incredible things and feats that they did to help slaves make their way to Canada and also Mexico, which we don't cover, but to Canada and to freedom, but then also all the different organizations and the laws that needed to be passed to make things happen, and then also what the American government and other institutions did to really hold back the abolitionist movement. So the game is very tough. It's very raw. It doesn't skimp on anything. It shows that it was big business. It shows the slave hunters, the slave markets, but that's all in the game. The players themselves play different factions of the abolitionist movement. They play together. It's a very, very beautifully designed game, very intricate, draws the players in. And that's why the school people really like it, because it draws the players in. They get involved. They get emotionally attached. And then they learn about Harriet Beecher and different people like that and what they did in history, and hopefully want to learn a little more.
So you said it didn't really leave anything out. So is it at times maybe a little gritty?
It can be very gritty, and a lot of people who've played it and call us up say, we were emotionally drained. I mean, here we are,
wow.
And we have to make decisions that, sure, they're only cubes on the board, but we have to make decisions where people are being captured, sold in slavery, and it's tough decisions you have to make, but these were things that people were faced at the time. And it really gets people to see and dispels a lot of the myths, because a lot of the money for the abolitionist movement came from the South. The South was huge. Population of the evangelical movement, the churches, the preachers were against slavery. And a lot of people think it was just a northern thing. The slave population, even though it was illegal to bring in new slaves, it grew fourfold, 400% slave population increase in this time span. It was the big business of the time. And we try to show that and let people see what it was like and what the adversity that people came against, but then also all the good that happened, what they did, how they tried to do it. Because quite honestly, even though slavery was abolished during the Civil War, it took another 100 years to really gain a lot of the goals and what the Emancipation Proclamation even brought about. It took another 100 years until Martin Luther King and the whole movement. So it is still an issue that we're facing today. And by learning about the past, we learn a lot more about what happened and really how far we've come. And it's a wonderful game, and luckily it's a dicey game coming out with a game like that. But luckily we seem to have hit all the right points, worked with a lot of authors and historians to even get the wording right, the pictures right, because it is still a very sensitive subject.
Yes.
And a subject that most people think they know, and when they play the game, they get to know really what happened. It's like, eye-opening to a lot of people. So we're really going after the school markets with our games. Other game is 1775 Rebellion, a game about the Revolutionary War. Much lighter, where 1775 is a team. It's like Pandemic on steroids, literally, and very emotional. Where 1775 then is a great game where you're learning about it, pretty strategic, but Eurogamers like to play it, little kids like to play it, your heavy war gamers, it's beautiful. Our clientele is 50-50, men and women. Some games, women won't like as much, especially if they think it's a war game. But this is more an area control team play. All of our games are either team play or total against the game. So here, it's a British players against American players.
Okay.
And you can play it sober or inebriated just as well. A big factor in our gaming crowd.
That's impressive.
Yes. Around 10 o'clock, our decision-making abilities goes down because we have the Holy Grail cups of Tequila and Mountain Dew, the cheap man's, the poor man's margarita.
Poor man's margarita. I was actually thinking about that last night, to be honest.
It's good, isn't it?
I've never had it, but somebody gave me Mountain Dew last night, another game designer, and I was just like, wow, I wish I had some shots in here.
Tequila, it doesn't even have to be good tequila because Mountain Dew, But, Mountain Dew and tequila, it's been a favorite of mine since college days and many other things which I shouldn't have drank and eaten, so.
I'm going to have to give it a whirl. So are those the only two games slotted for the education system right now?
Currently right now, yes. We have other games coming out in both series. But for now, you have to make a start somewhere.
Right.
And also our games, you have to have games that school systems can utilize because usually you're looking at a topic. Black History Month, history of slavery in America is a topic that is covered in a lot of curriculum.
Right.
The Revolutionary War is a topic. Unfortunately, like 1812 invasion of Canada, the War of 1812, it's not that big a deal. It's probably not taught in 95% of the schools, maybe along the border
it's in the book.
States. Is it in the book?
Well, I went to school in Canton, Ohio, and I learned about it. Or no, I went to school in Hinckley, Ohio. I moved.
That's how much he learned.
No, actually, history sticks with me. I'm pretty good with history and geography. So I remember it was in the book. It wasn't so much in our notes or in our note-taking process. And it wasn't much. It was a couple paragraphs.
Skip over, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was important. We almost lost Wisconsin, Michigan, and a lot of the Ohio Valley.
That's right.
We almost lost it. Uh-oh. Spock.
That was Worf, sir.
Oh, was it Worf?
That's Worf.
No, that was Spock, wasn't it?
That's Worf.
Oh, my God. All these times. Actually, I like the new second generation better. So we're doing a lot of games, and we're also talking with the school systems and the book manufacturers because it's one of the major book publishers in America. It's going to be their first first company that's going to be where they're bundling their books with games for a school system. And that's what's so great about it. It's not like we're nilly-willy trying to get into the school systems. This is one of the main publishers that's going to be offering this. First time they're offering games along with...
Recently, well, not too long ago, you finished a Kickstarter for a video game, which was news to me.
No, not a video game. We're coming out in the future. No, we did Thief, Underground Railroad. We did Freedom. We did 1775.
I saw a lot about the video game in some emails, so it's not out yet.
No, it's not out yet. We had computer games, but we didn't run them through Kickstarter. We had computer games with...
Maybe I'm just...
Yeah, sorry.
Too much information, not enough reading?
No, we did some pre-orders. It was a mass email campaign, things like that, but we didn't do it through Kickstarter.
So there's more than one. What portion of history do they cover?
It's World War II. It's our Conflict of Heroes series. Yep. And our Conflict of Heroes is...
I remember tanks.
Yes. And our games are used, again, in universities. They're used by American military personnel, sold through bases as a training tool for platoon and company level commanders. A lot of the kids coming through, they do just first-person shooters. So they're really good at quick reactions. But then you start elevating in rank and all of a sudden you have to start worrying about platoon company level type of engagements. And the problem is a lot of these kids, 90% of our decision making has to be subconscious. And different tools teach different ways to give you this really good subconscious gut feel. When you say, oh, my gut feel tells me to do this, well, it's your brain really going through all your past historical experiences for similar situations and popping out what it thinks
what is right.
was the best results overall. So that's with Conflict of Heroes, and we're working on, you're the first person to tell this to, but we're working all with active officers, going back and forth in Afghanistan. We're doing a game on the Taliban, trying to do it from the Taliban perspective. So we're trying to do that you're playing and that they're learning as Taliban, how can I infiltrate this area? How can I steal these trucks? And it's not really a war game. It's more of a situational scenarios where, for example, Americans, you have to guard a polling station. Lots of civilians, many different problems, and there could be suicide bombers, Taliban infiltrations, whatever. So it's not really a war game as most people see war games. It's more situational problems and how do you solve them. So last night I saw a group playing out there, and they set up machine gun emplacements around the polling stations. Supposed suicide bomber to come through in with all the crowds. They worried about that, and all of a sudden a Taliban advancement was coming from the foothills and then with trucks from the east. Their problem was, and they had to pull back. They could not hold the polling station, blew up, lots of civilian casualties, and the American men got out without casualties, but they lost the game quite badly. And on analysis, then they found out, hey, you know what? We were worried so much about the polling station, we did not at least put some outposts in some very important
locations.
Yeah. So, again, what we're trying to do is the games need to be fun, but you also have to learn something with it.
They've got to be, and to teach critical thinking
exactly.
is what
exactly.
Seems
and it's so much fun. The more success we have, the more military guys from around the world we're working with and discussing different issues that could be taught in a fun way through games. And again, board games give you different experience than a computer game.
Well, I'd like to see a Custard's Last Stand.
A Custard Last Stand, yeah. Well, that's
there's some options there.
Yes, well, it's just have a little engagement, then just have a barbecue and call it the day. So.
Well, you could do that, but I went to the battlefield, and there's so many open possibilities to what they don't know happened.
Yeah.
With what you can do with the game, you can have multiple endings.
That's true. Die here, or here.
Effectively, yes, effectively.
Or run away a little quicker.
Yeah, but it would be fun. I don't know if you could do that on a board game effectively, but...
Oh, there's been some good custard games out there. So anyway,
well, that's another story.
Yeah, sorry to get off the topic here.
No, that's all good. I mean, we accomplished that. It's coming to schools. That's really what I want to sit down and talk to you about, because games and education is not something I get to talk about a lot.
Right.
But it's something I'm always intrigued by, because, it's like games do teach a lot of things that you don't necessarily learn in school. That back in the Middle Ages, if you were going to school, you were being taught philosophy at a young age. You were being taught another language, which trains your brain in a totally different way.
Right.
And it's kind of lost in our school system.
They have such a curriculum that they have to, the standardized tests that they have to pass and all that, it's really... Often it's vanilla coding a lot of the education. And it's really heartening to see that a lot of teachers are now taking self-initiative to go even a step beyond and try to get kids engaged in very unique and novel ways. And, I think with the internet and the plethora of information available now, that it is giving a lot of teachers with this initiative the chance to really be novel and step above. And it's so needed in today's school system because, the world is getting more and more complicated.
And the bad part about that is sometimes the size of the school determines what they can and can't do.
Exactly.
That's the real bad part.
Yeah. Well, my kids went to school with a graduating class of 80.
Oh, yeah.
And,
that was smaller than mine.
It's even worse because they don't even have AP classes and things like that. And the kids, my son had to petition for calculus. And he finally had to put a class of 3 people together. They taught themselves, just had a teacher sitting there making sure they were whatever, and they taught themselves, took the classes, took the AP classes, passed them, and when he went to college, he found out they taught themselves totally wrong, but they came to the same conclusions. And it actually helped him. He went into engineering with nanotechnology and, DNA manipulation. That's what he specialized in with his master's. And I think having to teach himself, they forced themselves. It actually made them have to learn the material even better. No teachers. It's just...
That's mind-boggling. I mean, I graduated with a class of 176. We didn't have
That's
18.
huge.
Compared to what my boys,
Yeah.
they're not seniors yet, but their graduating class this year
Yeah.
was 980.
980. Yeah, see, I couldn't imagine that.
It's a college campus.
Yeah, that's
I
tough.
mean, there's 4,000 kids in the high school.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a nice thing. In a small school, every parent. Any kid gives problems to a teacher. They're all farmers usually. You tell them
Yeah,
that.
I know you've got a meeting soon, so...
Did you have any questions with Kickstarter or anything like that?
Oh, no, that's a whole I mean, man, we could talk for anher hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's something that should be done at another time, I think.
Super.
And his whole... Actually, I recorded at ANCON the audio of your game design philosophy.
Oh, okay, great.
I'm going to throw that up if that's okay. I didn't ask
Sure.
you at ANCON. Yeah.
Sure. If you can edit it a little, I mean, there were some spaces in between. Or not.
Oh, I can pull that stuff together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can pull that stuff together. But if you haven't heard him talk on game design, it may rethink your philosophy. It's made me look differently at the way I review games. So it's enlightening. It's all about that high point and how far apart they are.
Well, finding most game designers don't know what the hook in their game is. What we call that dopamine-inducing hook.
Yeah, that's the
And to get to highlight that and find what that one part is, and then finding out what the Scheißdreck, it's much auf Englisch denken.
Yeah, he hates English, by the way.
It is tough sometimes because our design team is primarily Germans, and when you speak in I have no trouble going back and forth, but when you speak and develop in a certain language, and then when you want to talk about it,
it changes.
It changes. But you want to find the frequency of that hook and the amplitude of that emotional dopamine rush. How can you magnify it and things like that? And we really have it down almost like an engineering science because we do ladder logic diagrams. We really map it out so you visually can see where issues and problems could come in. We just had meetings this morning with some designers with a great game. And we said, you know what? We're going to put this on paper. And it'll bring out issues that we don't even know. You have a gut feel, maybe something could be done better. But doing it this way really gives you a visual starting point to say, whoa, look at that. Who knew?
That's right.
So, let me know. I'd like to get a link for that.
Oh,
So,
I'll definitely send it your way. I might even... it's one of those things that I actually think once I learn how to do it, it can go onto iTunes.
oh, wonderful. Great.
So people can listen to it in their car or
Great.
whatever.
And if you want to add to it, or just give me a call.
All right, I will. I think that's it for the show, unless you have something specific you want to share about some of your other games that...
Unbelievable that Netherlands beat Spain 5-1. I'm a soccer fanatic. That's the only bad part about being at Origins this year. My daughter went to school in Germany, giving me all these BS reasons why she had to go to Düsseldorf and be there all summer. And when it came right down to it, she wanted to be in Germany during her World Cup. Because I know she's not studying. She's out there every night with the beer and the bands watching the big screens. So that is my biggest concern right now, watching World Cup soccer games. So there you go.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for
See you
having
around.
me.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Appreciate it.